Yeah, so I want to officially welcome everyone to today's webinar. And we are very happy to have you guys here again. I think this is the first episode we're having for this month, for this year, sorry. This is our first episode for this year. And for those that has actually followed us from a few years, we actually started this. I know we have been able to learn one or two out of it, and this year is going to be very impactful because we have so many things in package that can actually assist us to grow ourselves from a novice to an expert when it comes to different areas of tech, and try to also educate us on areas that we, the forerunners, or we that have actually practiced in these areas, mistake we have made, and try to show you, educate you so that you don't make similar mistakes, right? So um, I want to welcome everybody, and my name is Ogbeba Besiri, and I'm your host for today. I'm your host and also your speaker for today, right? So we're doing this uh, alone for the first time for this year, and subsequently we'll be moving ahead with different speakers, right? That has actually gotten experience in different areas of tech, right? And that's one reason I said which areas of tech you're actually interested on. So keep the charts coming, keep the areas of tech you feel like you want to dive into. If you have no idea, please also indicate you have no idea. There's still room for you, right? And we are all here to actually educate ourselves to see how we can grow how we can grow you guys in tech, right? So I'm going to give you a brief story about myself, right? In the sense that I studied computer science, and in the University of Nigeria, I graduated far back 2012, where I studied computer science, right? But not just study computer science made me where I am today in regards to tech, right? I um I experienced some hurdles, uh, our Nigerian factors when it comes to universities and what they actually teaches us, right? And you understand that if you go by what we learn from the classroom today and you try to relate that to day-to-day industrial experience, right? So you're going to be archaic, right? You're going to stay far back, and even you might even be very difficult to actually have a job, right? So we have to train ourselves to actually get to this level, right? Learn, continuous learning, learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? That is one slogan I actually use for myself. Learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? So with that, uh, I have been able to train myself to where I am today, right? So I want to thank you guys again for joining to this webinar. It's going to be short, it's going to be 1 hour, there's going to be time for questions. Please, if you have any questions to ask, please drop it on the chat. There's going to be room hereby. If you can see that all mics are currently muted, right? When it's time for question, we're going to open the mic for anybody to speak. So if you have any questions to ask, you bring those questions up. So as we're starting, please kindly jot down so many things, because we're going to be passing so many information, not too much information, but information that will be educative to you if you actually have a drive to actually learn Microsoft Azure, right? So thank you very much again for joining. So I have somebody on the chat that will be answering your questions. If you have any questions, or you can wait for the question and answer time, please drop your question on the chat and somebody will definitely be ready to answer your questions. So, yeah, so on today's webinar, we're going to be discussing uh, learning to earning, in quotes, learning to earning, right? And why we chose this topic for today is because there are so many of us, right, that have dived into different areas of tech, right, and try to equip ourselves with different knowledge, right, and try to equip ourselves with different knowledge in tech, right? And after learning, what is next? Some people will ask, after I am done learning, will you give me an internship? Or after I'm done learning, what is the next phase in which I need to do to be able to land a job, right? So these are the different areas we want to try to cover in quotes, in terms, in brackets, in subsets, cloud computing, right? So we're going to discuss the different areas of cloud computing, the different skill sets that you can actually get when you study cloud computing, and also how you can actually sell yourself to recruiters and to recruiters, to companies, so you can be employable or have jobs after learning. Like what I always tell people, I always say that tech is not a 0 to 100 scheme, right? You start from somewhere, you start from the scratch, you learn, you develop, you grow, you see hurdles, you get so many errors, right? But one thing that will keep you growing in these areas of tech is what? Consistency, right? The love you have for that particular career path you've chosen tech, right? If you're saying you're doing cloud computing today and you're using Microsoft Azure, right? At your first deployment, you deployed the virtual machine. After deploying the virtual machine, it was okay, very nice. Now they said, okay, deploy an application to that particular virtual machine, right? And when you're deploying it, you will see so many errors. Now the question is, now those errors you're getting is what will give you experience, right? In next time you want to do that particular task again, right? So not you just see an error and you're scared and you definitely run away, right? But if you see an error, the zeal you have for that particular career path, the love you have for that particular career path will push you to actually investigate, right? Do your research and be able to resolve that error yourself, right? But if it's something you cannot be able to resolve, and that's where mentorship comes in, right? You reach out to your mentor, you discuss with your mentor, I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to do this, and I am having this particular error. I have tried this, I have tried that, right? And it's not working. Definitely, your mentor that have gotten experience in that particular field will be able to assist you to resolve those particular issues, right? I know so many of us today, they are playing a match between Manchester United versus Arsenal. Many of us might be having diverted attention, but just listen to me. I'm not going to take, like what I said, I'm not going to take much of your time. We're just going to spend an hour down here, right? So from learning to earning, turning Azure skills into real job opportunity. Now, first thing, what is Azure? That's the first question we'll ask ourselves. What is Azure? I'm talking about Azure. Azure is the key point here. Yes, there will be recording after the class. Azure will be a key point. Is the key point we're using down here, right? And Azure is a cloud provider that is being owned by Microsoft, right? If you go to Google today, type Microsoft Azure, right? You should be able to get more information about that. Azure is being owned by Microsoft, right? And Azure is a cloud computing provider. Sorry, Microsoft is a cloud computing provider to customers that intend to host their applications in the cloud, right? And for you to be able to do that, maybe you have an infrastructure you're working on an on-premise site, and definitely you want to move down to the cloud, right? So you have so many providers that you can actually use. We have Azure, we have Microsoft Azure, we have GCP, we have Google, we have Salesforce, we have Oracle, right? These are different providers, right, that we have today in the cloud, in cloud computing that we can definitely use. But however, we are actually streamlining this particular webinar to Microsoft Azure, and the skill set you can actually generate or you can actually acquire, right, when you're developing yourself in this particular area, right? So what we're going to discuss about the reality of the tech job market, right? The reality, what's there, what do people expect, right? What do learners expect? What do recruiters expect? And what even the people applying for those jobs, right? What do they expect? Now, what you have to understand is 80% of companies today run their workloads in the cloud. That means 80% today in the world, 80% of companies in the world today run their infrastructures in the cloud. That means there are no much environments or offices that you can see data centers, right? All of them are being hosted in the cloud. Sorry, when I use the word the cloud, I don't mean up there, right? I mean there's a data center elsewhere, like in a particular region, that hosts your infrastructure, right? Then whenever you want to get access to that particular infrastructure, you can only access it via the internet. So you don't need a large amount of servers, a large amount of machines in your office anymore, right? They just help you to host it somewhere, and what you actually do is just to have access to it via the what? Via the internet. And today, companies like banks, enterprise companies, GTB, hospitals, government, global companies, Wipro, TechExpert, Microsoft, most of them, all their infrastructures today, right? They use cloud computing, right? They use cloud computing because the benefit of cloud computing actually surpasses what we call the traditional on-premises system, right? When you start learning this particular Azure or cloud computing, you understand more of the terminology I'm trying to use. But sorry about that currently. Now, the second thing is that what are the rules that actually comes out from this cloud computing? If I said I am a cloud engineer, what is expected of me? What are the rules? What are rules that I can actually apply for as a cloud engineer? And the first thing is what they call them cloud engineers. Cloud engineers is a compound word. What I mean a compound word is a word that have so many subsets imputed into it, right? As a cloud engineer, you're expected to know a lot in terms of application deployment, application management, infrastructure management, networking, networking, security, support, and monitoring, right? Those are key areas you have to actually equip yourself as a cloud engineer. And this roles entails cloud engineer, security engineer, DevOps professionals, and those areas are one of the highest paid jobs currently we have in the tech space, right? You being a cloud engineer today, and you're working in companies like Wipro, or you're working in companies like GTB banks, or you're working in companies like Sterling banks, or you're working in companies like Shell or different oil companies, right? The least amount you are expected to earn as a cloud engineer in Nigeria, the least amount is close to just 800,000 naira. As a well equipped cloud engineer, the least amount that you are able to that you are supposed to earn is what? 800,000 naira every month as a cloud engineer. So that's to tell you that this particular skills actually is not just a skills you learn and you start getting low income, right? It's a skills you learn and you start earning higher, right? You start earning good money. And if you have the luck, right, during COVID-19 that actually happened, that opened room to remote work, whereby you can work across countries, right? Which is currently happening. You can definitely also earn in dollars, right? Then in dollars, like you have companies that can pay you up to $3,000 monthly as a cloud engineer, as a security engineer, and also as a DevOps engineer. But there is a particular thing that we or learners actually fail to do, right? Actually fail to do. So when you're done learning, what is the next step? One question that we need to answer, and we need to answer ourselves. But I'm here, right, to actually guide you, to actually help you to also answer these questions, right? So what most learners feel because they stop at what? At theory. Once you're done learning, you go to YouTube, you watch YouTube videos, you consume a lot of data in YouTube, you watch YouTube videos, you go to a platform like Udemy, you watch so many videos, or you come to Tech Academy Solution, you register with us, and after teaching you, what's the next step? What is the next thing you ought to do? What is the next phase, or what's the next step you're supposed to do? And that's where it comes. Skills plus proof is equals to jobs, right? That means if you as a cloud engineer, you prove that you're a cloud engineer. How can you show it that you're a cloud engineer? If I'm actually interviewing you today and I ask you, are you a cloud engineer? You said yes. How can you show that you're a cloud engineer? Or I go through your CVs and you've put so many jargons for your CV. Yes, I was able to deploy this. I was able to do that. I was able to do that. How can you show me, right, outside your CV that you're a cloud engineer? If I put your name today on Google, will Google come out and tell me this guy is a cloud engineer and is well equipped with so skills, right? How can I attain that level? How can I be able to, when recruiter sees my profile, right, they should be able to say, yes, let's give this guy a chance, right? He can actually do this, right? And that's where this webinar is actually coming in to actually educate every one of us on how to go about this. Now, what Azure skills really mean? So Azure is not just one thing. Like what I said, the word Azure is not just say you are a Azure cloud engineer. Azure is not just a word, right? Azure comprises of different segments. Different segments like the cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, security engineer, IT support, data and AI, right? I know very well, all of us know we are moving from the normal, we're moving away from the normal traditional way of computing to AI currently, which machines actually does a lot for us. And I don't want to use the word that machine will actually take our jobs, but definitely we're moving there. So if as a cloud engineer, you are not equipping yourself enough with knowledge, right? You're not improving yourself enough, definitely machine might do the work, but let's not go into that currently, right? So five different skills that you can actually train yourself on. One, under cloud engineer, we have Azure Virtual Machine, we have networking, and we have storage, right? These are different areas when it comes to cloud computing, you have to equip yourself in, right? Then under DevOps engineer, you have CI/CD. CI/CD pipe. CI/CD is called continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? Then we have Terraform. What is Terraform? Terraform is, we call it infrastructure as a code, right? It's being used to automate resources, right? Sorry, I know I'm using some very strong technical term, but just stay with me. Terraform is a tool that is being used to automate processes in the cloud, right? Then what is GitHub? GitHub is what we use to host repositories, to host code. So when I mean code, I mean maybe application that has been deployed by a programmer. It's none of, as a cloud engineer, none of your business to deploy an application, to write code to deploy an application. What you just have to do is to deploy it, right? So GitHub to host those code. Then as a security engineer, what are the skills you have to have? One, you have to know what to call Microsoft Defender for Cloud. You have to know Sentinel, and you have to have knowledge in IAM. IAM is what? Identity Access Management, right? How to give access to people. Then you come into IT support. What is IT support? IT support is just being able to support end users or end clients, right? In terms of using tools like Azure Active Directory, Intune, M365, M365 called Microsoft 365, right? So these are different areas or different skills you have to equip yourself to be able to call yourself a cloud engineer, right? And mind you, you must not have, let me not scare any of us, you must not have all these skills first to land a job, right? You might know how to use a VM very well. You might know how to use networking very well. You might know how to use storage, right? And with those three skills that you currently have, you can actually go for an interview and discuss to the recruiter and see what you have done, see what you have done with these different areas, and they will employ you. And you learn and grow on the job, right? You learn and grow on the job. And we look at data and AI, where we have Azure SQL, and we have Azure Synapses and Azure AI Studio. So these are different skills that is embedded into the word Azure, right? So Azure is not just a skills. If they say, what skills do you have? You say, I have Azure. No, Azure is not the skills. Azure is just a compound word that comprises of different segments or different subsets to actually make that word, that word, right? So you have to have these different skills to actually equip yourself to call yourself a certified Microsoft Microsoft Azure Cloud Engineer, right? So the next thing is, what are the mistakes that most learner makes, right? What are the mistakes we make? One of the mistakes we make is what? We just watch YouTube tutorials. I have so many guys today that just go online, watch YouTube tutorials, go to their videos, watch how they do it, how they've been implemented, they read about it, and they think they are cloud engineers. No. If you're doing that to me, and I'm asking you a real life scenario, a real life scenario, real life questions, right? You will not be able to answer me because what you have just learned is somebody talking back to you, right? And reading documentations. That's what you have done. You have not been able to equip yourself with what? With a real life scenario or a real life task to be able to answer some question that will come out, or some errors that might occur when actually or when actually carrying out, right? When actually carrying out a particular task, right? Now, the second thing is, you collect certificate without practical applications, right? I know many of us, we started like this, right? What we are doing is that we just go cram dumps, right? Watch YouTube tutorials, cram dumps, and went and go and sit down for certifications. And at the end of the day, when you're very sharp, most of us that Nigerian factor, school factor, you cram and you pass, right? Most of us that have crammed and we know how to cram. So we cram those questions, and the day of the exam, those questions comes out, and we're able to pass the exam, right? They don't build real life world projects, right? Now, after getting those certification, after watching YouTube videos, and you don't go ahead and even test these things you have learned, right? How will you be able to improve on those skills? You understand? How will you be able to improve on those particular skills, right? And at the end of the day, you will be left alone. You call yourself a cloud engineer without a skill to show, without a proof to show that you are actually a cloud engineer, right? Now, what, what, like what I said, if you have any question, please drop it on the chat. Drop it on the chat if you have any question. What hiring managers do not ask, right? They will not ask you, what course did you take? They will not ask you that. They will not ask you, what course did you take? Did you take a course from Udemy, or did you take a course from Tech Academic Solution, or did you take a course from watch a course from YouTube? They won't ask you that. But what they ask is, what have you built? What have you supported? What have you fixed? And what have you deployed? Those are the four key questions that you'll be asked in an interview. What have you built? What have you supported? What have you fixed? And what have you deployed? Now, how can you be able to answer these four questions is if you have actually carried out a practical learning process, right? To be able to deploy this particular application, to be able to use the particular skills. Now, building is, when I mean building is being able to build an environment, right? Deploy an application or deploy an environment, right? Get an error, be able to fix it, right? And at the cost of that particular environment running, you should also be able to support it. You understand? So as a cloud engineer, they might come up to you. If you're deploying a virtual machine in Azure, what are the processes will you take? You understand? But if you have been able to cram, or say, okay, you want to deploy a virtual machine in Azure, right? And you want that particular virtual machine to be able to sit in a particular subnet that already existing, and that subnet should not be open to the internet. What process will you be able to take to deploy that? But if you have watched YouTube tutorials, or you have watched you have watched documentations, you have gone through documentation, right? Most documentation will only tell you how to deploy a virtual machine, right? But they won't tell you if there's a scenario that you have to deploy a virtual machine to a particular subnet so that it cannot be accessible via the internet, but just be accessible via private network, right? So these are simple questions, and answers to these questions are very simple. And these are simple questions that you can be able to answer if you have a practical knowledge of these things. Now, the next thing is, The skill employers actually look for. What are the skills they look for when you call yourself a cloud engineer? The skills they look for are what? Virtual machine and networking. In terms of you know how to use VNets, virtual. When we say VNet, it's called virtual network. You know how to use VPN, virtual private network. You know how to use firewalls. You know how to use databases, app services, automations. When we talk about automation, we're talking about PowerShell, Terraform, or Bicep, right? You know how to use Active Directories, identity. You know how to monitor an environment, and you know how to solve real life problems. Right. So these are what companies are actually looking into and looking for in when they are trying to interview you for a particular role, right? So they won't come up and say, what is Azure? No, they won't come up and ask you what is cloud computing. They won't come up and say what is PaaS platform as a service or infrastructure as a service. They won't do that, but they will be asking you what questions that relates to real life scenario, right? Like what I said, if you have any questions, please drop the question and we will be able to answer you. Now, how can you convert learning into how can you convert your learning into skills that can be employable? One is learning, two is practicing, three is build, four is prove, and five is what? Apply. Right? When you're done learning, you practice. Right? After practicing, the next thing you have to do is to build, right? Then after building, you have been able to build, then you have to show proof of what you have actually built. But the question on this is after I've built my environment, how will I be able to show proof, right? That I've been able to build it. How will I be able to show proof? That's where Git comes into play. That's where, as a cloud engineer, you're supposed to have what we call a GitHub account, whereby you can showcase step-by-step process you have actually used to solve a real life problem or you have actually used to deploy a particular application, or you have actually used to yes you have actually used to deploy an application or support anybody, right? This is the area you have to show that, right? We call it GitHub. GitHub is a repository environment, right? We can't go much details into it, but in subsequent we have a series where we have to discuss these two step by step, right? Then the next thing is apply. When you're done, when you are done learning, when you're done practicing, when you're done building, and when you have shown you have built, you're done building, and you have proof that you have built this, then the next thing is to apply for jobs. Apply for job with those proof to show that you have actually deployed this and that, right? So example of tasks or example of projects you can actually work with is you can build a website on Azure. Not build. Sorry, we're using the word build a website on Azure. You can deploy a website on Azure because as a cloud engineer, you are not expected to develop a site, but you are expected to deploy a site, right? So you've been able to deploy a website to Azure. You have been able to secure a website with SSL and firewall. You have been able to configure what we call Azure monitoring, or monitor that particular website. You have been able to automate different manual processes in the cloud, right, and deploy it. And you have been able to document what you have done. Once you have been able to do all this, you won't call yourself that I just know Azure, right? But you have been able to demonstrate your skill set and show that yes, you are actually a well-known cloud engineer, right? So the next step is what? Why project beat certification? Right? Why project actually beats certification? A recruiter will ask you, please, can you provide me with your GitHub repository? Right? They will ask you to provide with your GitHub repository. They will ask you, have you been able to deploy an application to Azure? Can you show it? Right? They will ask you, can you demonstrate, can you show us a real monitoring live live dashboard that you have automated to monitor workloads in the cloud, right? And they will ask you questions regarding how were you able to solve a particular problem that you encounter when deploying a certain levels of or a certain application, or when you're doing when you're taking up a certain task. These are the questions recruiters will definitely ask you. But if you have the answers to these 5 questions as a cloud engineer, you can go for any interview and ace that particular interview and land yourself a job. You understand? You can go for any interview and ace that interview and land yourself a job. So what I do say more than 5 certificates with no practical proof is nothing. I can have Azure 104, I can have Azure 500, Azure 5 AZ A500, or I have AZ 400, right? These are different skills or different certification areas in Azure. I can have those certificates, right? And if I don't have proof to show I have actually undergo a real life task, a real life process to be able to solve problems, and I pass the certification, I won't be able to land a job. Because what recruiters can just see, okay, he has a certification. Okay, you have a certification in 104. Can you actually demonstrate if I have 2 virtual machines in different subnets and I want those 2 virtual machines to be able to share resources together? How will I be able to do it? If you have read just documentations and this thing, you will not able to answer those questions, right? So project is equals to evidence. And when you build a project, with that project, you show the evidence. And once you have those evidence, you have shown to a recruiter, it lands you an interview. And when questions comes from those evidence that have been able to show, it lands you a job, right? So these are different areas we have to check when we're talking about cloud engineering, right? And here we come in. How can Tech Academy Solution help, right? So at Tech Academy Solution, we don't only train, right? We don't only train. We build individuals that have low skill sets when it comes to the cloud, that has low skill set, and they want to be able to learn a particular skills. Outside cloud computing, we have different courses we actually on the go, which is as cloud computing. We do cloud computing, we do cyber security, software engineering, CompTIA A plus, and CompTIA A plus and DevOps, right? Those are the 5 courses we are actually doing currently. And we don't just train practicals, right? We expose you to what? Real life Azure labs. Not just that, you have real life projects, as you have access to real life projects that you can actually build, not just build, and you can keep to yourself, host it to yourself, and whenever you have interviews or you're applying to a job, you can add those real life projects to your CVs and submit yourself for a job. And when you're building real life projects, you must encounter errors. And you must encounter errors. And that's where mentorship and support comes in. We try our best to support every student that intend to go to the extra mile. When I mean the extra mile, you intend to expose yourself to different projects. You intend to expose yourself to different projects. If you're doing this, we have community whereby if you are encountering any error or you have access to you have your carrying out a particular task and you have an error, you don't know how to resolve that particular error, you reach out to us and we're able to assist you. I think it was one of our students in our last on our ongoing class, right, that was trying to deploy something. He was doing it himself, and it was taking him like a full 24 hours to get a solution. He just called me, said, Siri, please, I am experiencing so errors in this particular assignment I'm currently doing. And I said, this is what you're not doing right. And he did it and it worked. He said, Siri, do you know I spent 24 hours trying to resolve this and I was not able to resolve it? And he said, this is where experience actually beats just knowledge. Now, there's difference between having knowledge and having experience, right? This is where experience actually beats knowledge. You're getting me? So if you don't have somebody that can pick up your hand and say, this is what you should do. This is what you do. Definitely, you might learn it very well, but you might learn it in a hard way, right? And also have what we call career guidance, right? If we discuss with you, know the areas you're coming in, what you've been able to do, how you should be able to, how can you be able to understand so many of these different tech areas, right? And advise you the proper area you should go into, right? Then the other thing is interview preparation. We actually do interview preparation. We get jobs links, send it to their community. Our community, they apply for those jobs. Whenever anyone gets an interview, put a call across to us. We see what the job skills is all about. We have a meeting with the person, we discuss with the person, and also tell the person these are some areas you should get questions from, right? And these areas you'll get a question from, this is how you should be able to answer it. Not just answer, but this is, you have built, like, we'll actually take you back that you have built a project regarding this. And this project you have done, this is how you should be able to answer your question, right? So after doing that, we also do CV and LinkedIn optimization, right? We'll go through your CVs. If you're taking a course with us, we'll go through your CVs. We understand your CV, go through your LinkedIn profile, see and we'll try to optimize your CV and your LinkedIn profile so that they can actually meet a particular standard where recruiters can actually reach out to you without you even applying for jobs, right? So when recruiter sees your CV, sees your LinkedIn profile, they can reach out to you and say, they can reach out to you and say, okay, I want to take a chance with you. Can you apply for a job and reach out to me when you're done and let's have an interview or let's have a call, right? Many of us as cloud engineers have had such experience, but if your LinkedIn profile is not showing this, is not showing that you have this particular skill set, mind you, they might just look at it and move past it. Or if you're not using a particular keyword in your LinkedIn profile, or if you're not using a particular keyword in your LinkedIn profile, right? And when recruiters are searching, your LinkedIn profile does not come up. You understand? So this is what we call LinkedIn optimization. So we offer LinkedIn optimization to our students so that we can able to optimize their LinkedIn profile to a standard whereby recruiters can see it and actually call them for a job, right? So the next thing is, what are the career paths when it comes to cloud computing? There's different career paths, right? We have cloud engineering. Cloud, like what I said before now, cloud engineering is a compound word that covers a lot, a lot. As a cloud engineer, you do a lot. You do the work of cybersecurity, you do the work of DevOps, you do the work of support, and you even do the work of junior and middle class engineers, right? But if you're being employed as an IT support, what your role is being able to support end users that are actually using the resources that you have hosted in the cloud, right? That is your role. Then as a cybersecurity in the cloud is being able to counter or being able to secure the environment against hackers. You understand? Putting up different security mechanisms like MFA, conditional access, policies, and a lot of them, right? Into your environment, creating role RBAC that we'll talk about IAM, access management, identity access management, right? We talked about that. These are what encompasses into cybersecurity, right, in the cloud. Then we'll talk about DevOps. DevOps DevOps is the automation of the cloud. What I mean by automation, you being able to automate manual processes. Like example, if I want to deploy if I want to deploy a virtual machine in the cloud today, I can just go to Azure, to the portal, create my virtual machine. But however, as a DevOps engineer, you have no business with the portal. You understand? Yours is to be able to write code. Mind you, I'm not scaring you because once people hear code, they get scared. Now, as a DevOps engineer, you're not writing an application. You're not writing you're not writing code from your head. Some of these codes and syntaxes already exist. It's just for you to be able to structure them to how it should be placed, right? So yours is being able to automate processes, write Terraform scripts, deploy them, write PowerShell scripts, deploy them, use Python and a lot of tools, automation tools that you can use, right? Then we have the senior roles. when it comes to cloud computing. We have the senior, we have the intermediate, and we have that's when I mean intermediate, the mid-level, and we have the junior level when it comes to cloud computing, right? So that these are different areas that you can actually cover when it comes to what? To cloud computing, right? So this is going to be our last slide for today. The last slide is what is your next step? If you're serious about a career in tech, you don't just watch, you don't just hope, and you don't just write certifications, right? You don't just do that. What you should be able to do is you learn, you build, you show proof, and before you apply, right? So that means after learning, you should be able to equip yourself. Sorry. After learning, you should be able to equip yourself with what? With different projects that you can use to what? To land yourself a job. And this is where Tech Academy comes into play. Like what I said, this is where Tech Academy comes into play. We try to expose you to different projects, not just training. We train, we give you projects, not just simple projects. Or let me not scare you also, not just simple projects, but projects that you can handle, right? We give you projects, and after utilizing those projects, we try to get you a a GitHub environment or create a medium blog post or create a blog post on our site whereby you can actually visit and reference those links to your CVs to show that you have actually done something or prove yourself to a recruiter that you have actually done something carrying out the project in the cloud, right? Carrying out the project in the cloud. So this is where we're going to stop for today. I know we are in time, and I know we have learned one or two when it comes to our discussion for today. So if you have any question, please raise up your hand. There's an icon here. You can actually raise up your hand. Raise up your hand, and I will be able to answer your questions. I know there are different messages on the chat, so I'll be going through those messages one after the other, right? So I'm starting from start to bottom. So the first question from Thank God said, okay, Manuel, your hand is up coming. So Thank God said, do you have a physical class or is on online? So we actually do online training for now. Why we're doing online training is because we have different students that are actually applying, right? To be trained by us, which across the globe. Like we have students in Canada, students in Nigeria, students in US, students in UK, right? So and we are actually using the virtual method, right, in our training, right? So another question from Ezra. Ezra says, sorry, sir, after deploying a website, how will it work? For instance, when your system or device you use to deploy it goes off, what is the logic behind it? So if you're deploying a website, I don't know if I understand this question very well, but however, if you're deploying a website and you've written the website on your local system, definitely it saves there, right? Even if the device goes off, it's still there. Now, when you're deploying a website to Azure, right, or deploying to the cloud, then along the line, your devices goes off, right? Then you have to come back to that particular. So we have different logs on Azure to see what you have been able to deploy and what has actually been deployed. You understand? And what have actually been deployed, right? So the best thing what you have actually deployed. So the best thing is when you're doing a core production work, you have to keep your system charged up. You have to keep your system running 24 hours. So ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to working as a cloud engineer, right? So the next question I have is, do I have to finish uni before learning cloud computing and landing a job? I'm a 100 level student. No. So 100, even if I'm preaching well to new students that are still in school, right? If you can take this very serious, take this from me. If I have the opportunity to be able to learn what I learned after school, right? I could have not spent so many years at home. I could have landed myself a job before graduating. You understand? I could have been able to land myself a job before graduating. Because as a student, I know you go to classes, you do assignments, you have weekends to rest. But if you can dedicate 2 hours every day to learning, right? To learn these skills, right? At the point of graduation, I bet you after NYC, even if you can showcase your skills in NYC, you should be able to land a job even in NYC. I have a friend that landed a job in NYC during our camp, right? He was a tech guy also, right? So this is not just for graduates, but also for school, for students, right? If you're in 100 level, you should be able to actually sign up for this also. So before I go to other questions, I will just pick one. I think I have a hand up from Emmanuel. Emmanuel, your hand is up. Please, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I want to confirm if you can hear me.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, we can hear you.
okay. So my question is this. You mentioned that Tech Academy Solutions, that there's some courses which is Azure is part of them. So I want to ask, um, can anyone with different skills, can they learn it? That is one. And number two is, what is the benefit of learning from Tech Academy Solution? Because anyone can go to YouTube and to watch video, or there are other tech other institute that offer something like this. So if I'm to sign up to Tech Academy Solution today, what are they offering different? So thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Emmanuel, for that question. Now, first of all, if you have different skills, right? You have different skill set, or you have no skill at all, right? So we intend to have a discussion with you with Tech, like Tech Academy. We intend to interface you with a mentor. Like what I said, we have different mentors on ground that are ready to discuss with you, right? So we tend to actually allow you discuss with our mentor, understand where you're coming from, right? First, when he understands where you're coming from, then he advise you on the areas of tech you should divert into, right? When I mean advice, now he's not advising you based on the amount of money those areas will generate. He's advising you based on your capacity and what you can simulate and what you can actually put dedication into, right? That's what he's going to advise you on. So first, if you are confused on which area to go into, we intend to expose you to our mentors. You have a discussion with one of our mentors and advise on the areas to go, right? Then, if you're taking a course with Tech Academy Solution, so in Tech Academy Solution, first of all, we brag about ourselves. And why we brag about ourselves is because we don't just go down to roadside trainers to train you in this particular tech field, right? What we do, our trainers are well certified trainers with industrial training, with industrial knowledge, sorry, with industrial knowledge, right? We have trainers today that are working in GitHub, right? We have trainers today that are working in WTW in UK, right? We have trainers today that are working directly with Microsoft, right? And we have trainers that are working today in Tech Expert, right? So these are different trainers that have experience, not just experience, but they have actually gotten industrial experience and know how to teach you for you to be able to assimilate and learn how to use these services, right? Then secondly, in Tech Academy Solution, we don't just train and leave you. After training, we try our best. After training, we expose you to different projects. Like we talked about projects, right? We expose you to different projects that you can add to your CVs, right? So that when recruiters are seeing those projects, that you have done it. They know you have practical knowledge of the cloud. You understand? We expose you to different projects, like we align different real life projects, right? And when you're deploying this project, we don't just leave you alone. If you have an error, you reach out to us, and that's where community comes into play. So we have a community where we assist each other. Now we don't just assist you in learning projects. Even today, if you land a job and you reach out to us and say, Tech Academy, I have a job, but however, I have a particular task, right, that I have no idea about, or I need an assistant, or I have been able to do this, but I'm getting an error. How can I go about to resolve it, right? We come into play, understand that particular project, and assist you in even in those jobs, right? Then another area, what you're going to gain from us is you're going to gain, we take your CV. If you're a new student, we take your CV, or if you're a novice, we take your CV. We package your CV to industrial standards, ATS standard, so that even if a recruiter is not going through your CV, is being passed through a machine, it should be able to pass that first stage, right? So put your CV, take your CV, structure it in an ATS standard, right? Then also go ahead and help you to optimize your project, right? We have two sections for a LinkedIn optimization for each section, each cohort we have, right? Whereby we teach students, we help you optimize your project, your LinkedIn profile, and also help you to know who to follow in LinkedIn, whereby recruiters can be visiting your profile and ask you to come for an interview, right? Yeah. So, Iman, I don't know if I've been able to answer your questions. Emmanuel, you're
Yes,
speaking on
yes,
mute.
yes. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, Agbotubori, your hand is up.
Yeah, good evening. It's Siri. It's been a while. We actually slept together and he called it Akwa Ibom when in
Are
local
you
government.
serious?
Yeah, Deadass,
Oh,
Deadass.
Tomo.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine. It's good to have you. So yeah, my
Yeah.
question is, are there fees? That's one of my questions. Should I ask all the questions or would you like to just answer?
Okay, you asked if there are fees regarding
Yes.
attached. Yes, they are.
Okay.
Right. There
Okay.
are actually fees attached to your training. Is not a free training, right? Is There are fees attached to it. But however, we have discounts and we also have a payment plan for it. You understand?
Okay.
So when I mean we have
Okay.
discount, we have a payment plan for it, right? We understand the factor, Nigerian factor, and we have tried to actually being able to entertain both the low incomers and those that also earn well. You understand? So we have been able to balance that. So that's why we have fees attached to each of our courses, and also we have a payment plan that can support everyone to actually meet up with the payments.
Okay, that's cool. Also, do we have individual sections or are we going to be in different cohorts? Like, if we're joining now, am I going to be singled out or I will join with other students? That's what I'm asking now.
Okay, yeah. So the second question is when I mean cohort. So we have different sections. We have different packages, right? We have packages for students that just want to have a private lectures. And also have packages for students that just want to join the cohort, right? So if you're having the private section is just for you ask for it, right, and we provide it. But by default, what we normally do, we do a cohort whereby we have everybody interested in cloud computing. They're in one cohort. Everybody interested in cybersecurity, they're in one class. Everybody interested in software development, they're actually in one class, right? So we have different class, we compile them. But if you want a one-on-one training, you discuss with us and we give you our prices regarding that.
Right. Thank you very much. I hope to connect with you later. Yeah, thanks.
All right, no
Thank you.
problem. Thank you, Tobo. Benjamin, yeah, sorry, I know your hand must have been paining you. Sorry about that. So, Benjamin, the floor is yours.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Can you, yeah, yeah. My question is there any specification to what kind of laptop, or is it the training? Is it something we can practice over the phone, or is it strictly going to be uh, a computer-based training? That if we were to practice on our own, now do we have to have a computer to start to practice this? That's my question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Benjamin. Yes, yes. So I always advise somebody, everyone, when you're trying to learn tech, you don't, you don't rely on just mobile phones, right? You need to have a laptop, and having a laptop, you might not have a a high performing laptop, right? It's not compulsory you must have a high performing laptop. I always advise anybody, get the laptop you can afford at first, right? Like I started my training when I was doing, yeah, when I was doing my youth service, right? I started with a laptop of 2 gig RAM. You understand? And that's what I used to actually train myself. 2 gig RAM. It was very slow, but determination actually pushed me through. You're getting it. So any laptop you can actually afford that you can browse with it, you can assign, you can use PowerShell on it. You have a browser because what you're doing, what you're going to do, or what you're going to learn is web based, right? It's not when I mean if web based, you have to visit the site. Is Azure is a site, you have to visit it, right? So everything you're going to learn is web based, right? So 80% of your tax is going to be on the link you're visiting, right? And 20% it might just be on your devices, whereby you're doing little PowerShell scripts, little deployment, and the rest of them. But however, I would advise anything you can lay your hand on, right? Because I know laptops today are very costly. So anything you can lay your hands on, you can actually use it for the training, right?
All right,
Benjamin?
thank you very much.
All right, no
Thank
problem.
you very much.
Yeah, greatness. Your hand is up.
Good evening, sir.
Greatness. Good evening, greatness.
Yeah, yes, good evening, sir. Thank you for everything you've put us through today. Actually, it's really kind of reminded me of how I started the year, with what taught about learning, building, and then practicing and all, not just like, just watching videos alone. So, yeah, my question is, well, I'm actually, just like you said, some of us here are students. So, yeah, I'm actually a past three computer engineering student in OU, and uh, well, I'm aspiring to be a cloud engineer. And for me personally, what I see these days are, software developers, cybersecurity professionals, and also like this thing is quite scarce or not so easy to find, permit me to say that. So yeah, for me personally, yeah, in a way, yes, honestly. Well, that's my network. So yeah, like my question, I wanted to ask, I don't know if you like offer internships for students, something like that. I just want to confirm that, sir.
Yeah, so for internship, what we normally do for internship is that once you're done with projects, right? Because we give you projects, and we give you projects that is going to be in line of what you have trained on. You understand? So once you're done with your projects, right? And we see the tendencies you used to work in those projects, right? We have different companies, right? Or partners companies we are working with. You understand? So the best thing we actually do in that regard is to reach out to those companies and tell them, okay, we have students that we have trained, and these students have been able to complete their projects, and this is what they have done, right? Can you call them for an interview? You understand? So they call you for an interview, we prepare you for that particular interview. after preparing for that particular interview and with our preparation, I'll say it's so let me not brag too much, but I'll say it's 80% of people we have actually done that with have landed themselves a job, not just internship roles, right? They have landed themselves a job. You understand? So we do that and we prepare you for the interview. You go for an interview and you ace it, right? So that's what we definitely offer currently, right? So we're not going to say, after you're done with your training, I'm going to be very plain and blank with this. After you're done with your training, then we just assign you to a company and you do your internship, right? So we're working on that correctly. But what we normally do now is after you're done with your training and you're done with your project, I'm emphasizing on it, projects, right? And you're done with your project, we reach out to a partner company for a job. So, and before you can be able to land that particular job, maybe probably you should be done with school or done with NYC, right? So that's the support we normally give for now. But in terms of direct internship, we are still working on that.
Okay, thank you, sir. God bless you.
All right.
Is that
So okay, someone's hand is up.
I have a
Ray.
question.
Okay,
Yeah, I
Ray.
have. Thank you so much. Please, I
Okay.
want you to throw more light on the marketability of this particular field, talking about the cloud computing, because
Yeah.
I know the last person said something about it somehow, but me, I'm so worried to know about the marketability of this particular program. Is it something that, once you are done with it, you can, because it's not, like he said, it's not too popular like other ones. So it will not
Okay,
be as if
yes.
it's moving.
Yeah, yeah, thank you very much, Ruby. So cloud computing, like what I said currently, cloud computing is an aspect of tech, right? That is I don't know, maybe because you're still in school and you don't have more knowledge about this, right? But 80, like what I said at the beginning of the training, 80% of all infrastructures today, right, are moving to the cloud, right? If you go to banks, go to all banks in Nigeria today, right? They are all using cloud services. You're getting me? Go to governmental bodies, they are all moving to the cloud, right? And since they are moving to the cloud, this actually give rooms for individuals to be able to develop themselves in those skill sets. Now, because there is no much will I use the word, there's no more emphasis or there is no much talk about cloud engineer in Nigeria eco space, right? Give room to scarcity of people diverting into those areas. You're getting it? Like the first company that came into Nigeria to preach about cloud computing was Tech Experts, which 80% or let me use the word, sorry, let me use 70% of engineers in Nigeria today that call themselves cloud engineers came out from Tech Experts. You understand? So with that, we are moving into different banking sectors, different governmental bodies, different areas. So when it comes to cloud computing in Nigeria, the job is there. Why the job? The job is there, right? The job is there, and it's scarce to see engineers that can actually fit into those roles because there are no much talk about that particular job role. What I mean about it is that now you know about JavaScript, you know about HTML, you know about security, right? And you know about security, and you know about React, software development, right? Those are some of the key words that if you wake up in the morning and they ask you, what do you want to decide? I want to become a security engineer, or I want to become a programmer, or I want to become a software developer, right? But you hardly see somebody that will come out and say, I want to become a cloud engineer, I want to become a DevOps engineer. So those actually give scarcity when it comes to the tech market in Nigeria. So there are limited hands that can handle infrastructures for these bodies. For example, we are able to do, I'll give you an example. We're able to do an interview with, sorry, I'm taking 5 minutes of your time. We were able to do an interview with InterSwitch some days back, right? And they advertised for five different roles. And one, the list there was DevOps. And on that DevOps role, there were a multitude that applied for software engineering, front end, back end, multitude. But when it comes to DevOps, out of almost interview that was held for almost a week, right? It was just 20 people that applied for DevOps. You're getting me? That's to show you that in that particular area, there is scarcity of engineers, right? Compared to other areas. So if you're building yourself and you're learning these skills now, right? You will land yourself a job in Nigeria. And not just land yourself a job in Nigeria. Browse about the percentage of jobs as a cloud engineer in the whole world. Currently is up to what? 80%. Cloud engineers, jobs as a cloud engineer in the whole world is up to 80%. That's to tell you that in every country, there is a need of a cloud engineer, right? Example, me, I'm in Nigeria today, but I'm working in a company in Canada, right? I'm working in a company in Canada. I'm in Nigeria today. I'm doing a project for a company in UK. You understand? That's to tell you that this area is not highly saturated. It's a new area that you can actually divert into and be able to get you're skillful, once you know your onion, once you're skillful on those particular area, to land a job is very easy because they are scarce engineers that actually know these things, right? So jobs is not, I won't say they don't talk about it, does not mean it does not happen, right? It happens. Apply, learn yourself, get yourself a skills, and I promise you, in less than 3 months, apply. Once you know your onion, you'll be able to land yourself a job. If I go to my LinkedIn profile today, I can tell you in a week, recruiters are reaching out. We saw your profile, you're a cloud engineer, you have this job, we saw your profile, but I can't keep myself. I already have jobs I'm handling, right? I can't divide myself. That's to tell you scarcity in the job market as a cloud engineer. So was I able to answer your question, Mitchell? Was it Mitchell that asked that question? Hello? Okay, it was Ray. Ray, was I able to answer your question?
Yes, you did so well. Thank you so much.
All right, no
My next.
problem.
Thank you.
All right. So I think there's some few questions. Said the career path I'm interested is being a security engineer. Starting with that, then later in the future, see how AI is integrated or using in the cloud. That's a nice one, right? Before you can actually go forward into learning AI, right? First of all, I will advise you to learn how to host these AI machines, right? Because me as a cloud engineer, what you cannot take away from me is hosting these machines, hosting these infrastructures, right? You can know how to build AI, build the AI. At the end of the day, you come back to me and tell me, I want to host it, and I'll host it for you. That is my knowledge, right? So learn cloud security, learn cloud computing, then at the end of the day, you can actually divert or move forward into AI. Right? That's a nice one. So another question is, please, will the recording? Yes, the recording will be available in the next 2 hours after we end the class, right? It will be available. Say, can we that can't make it through the end, get the yes, the recording will be available. Yeah, I think so many recording. I've answered this. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I've been able to answer both the question that's been asked and also the question on the chat. So I want to thank you all for joining. And I think most of us are actually on the group, the WhatsApp group. We'll be reaching out to you on the WhatsApp group and passing out different information that is needed, right? Thank you very much. I can see some of my trainers on the chat. Sawyer, thank you for joining. Femi, thank you for joining. Yeah, thank you for joining, right? I think they just finished their classes and they had to join us in this webinar, right? So thank you guys. Okay, sorry, Rusef Adedayo, one of my students, is asking, cloud computing, you're divided into many parts. When do you know when to direct to a specific part, right? So let me just answer this last question and we're done for the day. Now, cloud computing has so many areas, right? But as a cloud engineer, you're centered to know everything, right? Because everything adds together makes you a cloud engineer. Example, automation, sorry, I'm using this word. I don't want to scare any of you so that you don't see it as a very hard a subject or a very hard area. It's not that hard, right? Networking, monitoring, building up infrastructures, automation, and security, right? Those 5 areas makes you a cloud engineer. Any interview question you're going into, they will ask you questions on those 5 areas, right? So Adedayo, that's why when we're doing projects that touches these different areas, right? Say if I'm giving you a project, I might tell you, go and deploy a virtual network, a virtual machine. Make the virtual machine be in a subnet that is not accessible over the internet. And try to build up a monitor whenever there's an error 404, and it should be able to alert, right? In that particular questions I've given to you, I've been able to cover those 5 areas. Just that question, I've been able to cover those 5 areas. And if you successfully build that application, deploy it, and it's being monitored, you have showed that you are skillful in that particular area, right? So even in the sense we're saying, they are divided in, so yes, they are, but you need to have knowledge in all of them, right? It's when you're going to DevOps, you must just, even as a DevOps engineer, you're still uh, uh, you still have to know how to use the cloud as a DevOps engineer. Even if you're building automation, you can't build automation, you can't build a Terraform script without knowing what a virtual machine is, right? So you need the cloud. You need to have knowledge of cloud computing before even diverting into DevOps, right? So don't worry, Adedayo, we'll meet in the class and we'll discuss about this more. Sorry, I joined it. I am interested in cloud and what's the next step. Yes, Kingsley, we'll reach out to you. I think there is a link on this. There's a link. Let me copy this. We have a link on the chat. Just visit the link. Visit the link and you see a WhatsApp number there, right? Reach out to the WhatsApp number and we can take it up from there. So if you have any question or you have any questions or you need any clarification, please visit our website, book a meeting with our mentors, right? There is a meeting link you can book a meeting with our mentor. It's free. You're not paying for it. And let's discuss with you. Let's clear your doubt and let's put you on the right path in tech. So thank you guys for joining despite the Arsenal and Man U match. We're able to have a large number and appreciate you all. We'll be doing this subsequently. So stay in touch. Follow our website, being on our website, follow our social media pages. They are all Tech Academic Solution. Follow our website pages both on YouTube, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, right? Even on TikTok and on X, right? So follow our pages, and you will be getting more information and more educative webinars like this will be coming up, right? And we'll be bringing good experts that will still tell you their stories and also advise you on different areas on how to actually begin and be successful in those areas. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time and see you same time again. All right. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Police.
It's been good.